We're back.
We are back.
We are back.
So now we're doing our third movie, and that will be George.
That's my movie, Whale Rider 2002.
A long time ago, my ancestor Paikea came to this place, on the back of a whale. Since then, in every generation of my family, the firstborn son has carried his name and become the leader of our tribe.
Her name's Spike.
No, not that name.
Until now.
When she was born, that's when things went wrong for us. I'm gonna need all the firstborn boys. That's where we'll find the answer. This will be a sacred school of learning. You'll be taught in all the qualities of a chief. I go to the back.
How come you ain't let you do it?
Girls aren't allowed.
Make your enemies feel the fear.
He's got a lot of rules he has to live by.
It's not fair.
Keep her away. It's distracting for the boys.
That old pucker's not the only one who knows some tricks.
Could you teach me? Yes.
You will be tested for your strength, your courage, and your leadership. But there can only be one. What have you done? You knew this wasn't for you.
I'm sorry, Paka.
You don't mess around with sacred things.
Why doesn't he want me?
He's just looking for something that doesn't exist anymore.
A new leader. They exist.
There's one final test. A test of your spirit.
It's become even more than that. He needs a prophet.
My name is Paikea Apirana, and I come from a long line of chiefs. Not Koro's fault that I'm a girl.
You better come have a look.
Yes, starting Keisha Castle-Hughes as Paikea Apirana, Rawiri Parotin as Koro, Pai's grandfather, Vicky Houghton as Nani Flowers, Pai's grandmother, Cliff Curtis as Poro Rangi, Pai's father, and Grant Roa as Uncle Rawiri, which is Pai's uncle, and Rachel House as Uncle Rawiri's wife. So this is a Maori tribe. They're the Wangara people. So the film begins with a Maori woman in labor with twins. She dies in labor along with the boy twin. The girl twin survives, which is Pai, and her husband leaves for New Zealand, in grief. So he leaves Pai to be raised by her grandparents, which is Koro and Nani. Now Koro is one of those he's like a chief guy, so he's looking for he's really upset because the boy was supposed to be the next chief, following the line. They come from a long line of they're direct descendants to the Paikea, the whale rider who rode on top of a whale, Tohora, from Hawaii, so or let's say Hawaii. And actually, this is that place is comes up in the Polynesian tales. All the different Polynesian tribes, the Samoans, the Hawaiians, the Maori, they all have tales about the place. But the Maori may have more like a dark tale from it, like a more of a like what's it, like the Mayans or something. Anyways. So the film follows mystical. So the film follows the relationship between Paikea and which at this point now is 11 years old, and Koro, her grandfather, he's a tough, and he's because obviously he also is upset because she survived and not the boy, because he was supposed to be the next in line, and so he's looking the firstborn. He gets all the firstborns of the tribe to start teaching them the old ways so they can to see who's gonna be the next chief. Now, Pai, it's called Pai. She has dreams of becoming the chief, but they have the traditions, their ways. I know he says only men can be chiefs, not girls. And but she's really stubborn and she's still learning behind his back the ways. And it's funny because they have a really close bond. You can see that the grandfather and the girl. Right. I thought the movie does tackle to me was like how messed up traditions are, and that includes all kinds of traditions, even religions. And they have certain things that I go, why do you still do these things? Or, like having only male chiefs. Anyway, so it's a very sweet movie. It's bring your hankies. Apparently, the movie won the audience awards as the most popular film at the Toronto and Sundance Film Festivals. It has standing ovations and apparently left audiences sobbing like
Well,
in
look
tears.
at us when we watched it. It was not pretty.
So, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I really enjoy it. Every time I've seen it so many times, and I still break out crying when I see it. It's just so very emotional, very emotional. It tackles a lot of things that I guess people deal with family too. So, but yeah, it's very sweet. Anyways,
Sean?
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie. It's like crazy soft at times, and then really like hard moments.
Yeah.
In family, how nanny's always like, "I'll divorce him." You know, if she does that, I'll divorce him. You know, it's got funny moments. Total tearjerker, amazing acting, great spirit in the movie. Through the whole movie, like there's the whole scene with Pai's father's brother, her uncle. Right. You know, and they're just like potheads, you know, and they're just laying in the sun. They're like, "Hey, it's the beach, you know, here's where we live," and just smoking, and then he like he's jogging past his dad. His dad looks at him like,
"Why are you getting in shape?
Why are you getting in shape? Like, what are you know?" It's amazing movie. When did it come out?
2002.
I can't believe I never saw it until now. It's amazing.
Yeah, we saw it then when it came out.
Yeah,
I remember we saw it in the theater. Actually,
this is definitely up there in the list of movies to like to watch. I just think it's beautiful and spirited and yeah. I think Patty has a different opinion here.
Has a different view.
Well, you definitely cried at this movie. I mean, I had already watched it. And usually that's a good sign if you get me crying or laughing, right? Or scared. But I couldn't rewatch. I mean, Sean and George and Susie were watching it. And each time I walked out to see where they were at the movie, it was exactly at the place I know I was going to burst out crying. Who wants to be? And they were all exhausted by the end of the movie.
Yeah, we were exhausted.
But I think this movie is about gender and power. That's what I think it's about. But what I really hated, and I always have to say, what makes me dislike this movie so much.
You dislike the movie?
No, not really.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
But I hated the grandfather. And I
how
hated
mean
the
he
grandmother
was.
for letting that grandfather treat that child that way. That pissed me off, which is good because he's acting. But when I watch it, I totally forget
he was terrible. He does piss you off, his behavior. Now,
and she adores him.
She adores him, but you can see he really adores her too. He's just so pissed off that it was a boy died.
He's so rigid.
He almost like he blames her for the death of the boy.
He does.
The twin. But one thing about her is that she's like tough as nails. She's like Charlie.
But she's so like,
Charlie's a dog.
She's an introvert. You know, which gives her that access to the spirit and the ocean.
Yeah,
and she's an introvert
because she has the magical moment. So you can see that she has
quiet.
You can see she's connected to the ocean.
So the grandfather, like she knows it like gets to her, but then she knows it's like for the good of the tribe.
Yes.
Because she's an old soul.
Right. She's totally an old soul.
Well, remember when she's talking to the ladies and she goes, you shouldn't smoke. Something about you ruin your lady parts.
Your lady parts.
They're like cracking up.
For birthday.
She's very young. But the father I thought was weak, even though he's a sweet guy, but that he left her there with him.
Yeah, he was weak. I like the uncle. I like the uncle character.
Yeah.
And so when she's going, because she wants to learn these things, because let's face it, there's nothing to do on this island, right? She's learning the ways, and the uncle, who's kind of a little overweight and relaxed and a lot of smoking pot, was like a champion stick guy, whatever you call it.
And in a way, he had to deal with the same thing because he's the second son.
Right.
So his brother, who's her father, is the next chief lineage. So he was, even though he was way better than his brother or whatever the thing that they do, he's number 2, so he's not gonna.
So he
he,
would
he-
never-
he
yeah.
can never gonna
Right.
achieve it. Yeah.
Kind of like the princes, right? So, but it doesn't mean I hated the movie. It's just really hard. It was hard for me to watch, and that's why
It's kind of it's kind of the equivalent of Susie watching those slasher movies. That
Will
it
you
bothered
stop
her so
calling them
much.
slasher? I don't watch slasher movies.
No, but movies like that with that kind of violence.
Psychological thriller.
Yeah, so psychological. So this movie kind of bothered you in a way that movie is psychological. thriller
With a lot of slashing and psychology. Yeah, okay.
But what also too is and it's really worth seeing. You just got to be in the right frame of mind because But that only showed me how great the acting was. The grandfather.
He should have been nominated for an Oscar.
He
because
should have. He
yeah,
was so good, and the writing was good, which makes everything. But I also saw the power of feminine masculine. It was really interesting. And one analogy they use is when rope breaks, it's like their community. Individually, nothing happens, but if it's put together and it's one, then it becomes strong.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of symbolism in the movie, which I like. I can't say anybody's name, so I'm just going to use grandfather, father, because names are way. I just wouldn't.
Koro.
This is cool.
I can say pie. That's about it.
Poro, yeah.
Koro, yeah,
Koro,
Koro,
pie.
Koro and pie. It's really Koro and pie.
and Nanny.
And Nanny. Pretty
So,
much.
so it hits off a lot of buttons for me, but that's my own personal crap, right? But I thought it was interesting. I knew it was predictable. I knew she would come out victorious, right? Because you know that. Otherwise, what's going to happen?
But okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So to me, that was predictable, and to me, that's not a bad thing. As you said, it's like
I think to me the surprising thing of it is the way she proves to her grandfather that she should be chief.
Yeah, but
I don't even think she's trying to prove to be
no,
chief
she's
or
trying.
prove.
No, I would say
It's who she is. It's who she
in fact, no,
is.
I'm using the wrong word. Not the way she proves to him. The way. The way the kind
circumstances
of,
happen.
the way it happens that he realizes that she is the chief.
He loses his whale tooth, and she's like, "I'll get it."
Yeah.
She wasn't the chief because she decided to be the chief.
No. Things happen that.
Remember, in their culture, the whale just really has to do with the chief. The whale decides who is the chief. It's not like,
Right.
and she can hear it, right? And
Yeah.
she's pulled by it. And it wasn't like she decided, I'm going to be the chief. It's like she had no choice. You know what I mean?
She
it was
became
like
who she's meant to be.
And the grandfather realizes
her.
that.
They picked her.
Yeah.
But because it wasn't the way that it's traditionally been done, I wouldn't have put it. The way I wrote is every once in a while, the most amazing story comes along, and this is the story. I don't usually like emotional movies, but I love this movie. I've seen it a lot of times. Every time I cry my eyes out. But it's not a sad crying. It's like...
it was sad for me, that concert.
Sometimes things are given to us not in the form we expect.
That's true.
And sometimes things happen that take us out of our little box. And I would say that is to do with the father, the grandfather.
Absolutely.
It is like he was a bad man. He was carrying on the tradition as he knew it, a tradition that started probably thousands of years ago at a different time. So he was doing what he thought was right. And Pai seems to know this.
Yes, that's true.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
She seems to know this. There's nothing about her that's angry with her grandfather. She's always there's a scene, and she has nothing but respect for him because he's the chief. She's from the same culture he is,
And he's like her father.
And I can see, and I think she understands his conflict.
I think she really
understands. Because she's going to be because she's the whale rider.
Or else you would take it and it would be a psychological thriller.
So, are you talking about the scene where he's singing and she's helping him along singing?
Yeah, well, just all the time. It's like when she says that speech at her school, she does this special speech to her grandfather. It's like there is nothing but love and respect in it, although he's pretty shitty to her, but not because he loves her. He thinks, but he's an old school guy. And I wouldn't say I didn't like him. I recognize him. I have seen him many times.
Right.
And a lot of times they're very nice people. They're just...
He was never nice in that movie to anybody.
Oh, he was nice.
Just because he was so rigid.
He was rigid for a cause. He wasn't rigid because he actually had to harden his heart for her because he loved her.
Because
right?
and you can tell that he really loves her because
I believe that.
The first scene where her father's gonna take her away,
right?
And he's riding with her, and he keeps riding. He's getting like
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I would say this is a coming of age movie, but we are unsure of who is coming of age, Paikea or her grandfather. You know what I mean? It's about growing. But once he understands, it's not like I'm saying, it's like it's not your usual movie. And even here's also another part I liked about this movie. It's like it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. I was saying to you, like,
really, I thought it totally went.
No, remember,
not the. I mean, the ending.
No,
I mean,
not.
the middle part.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Not when she's giving her speech. You expect, he's putting on a suit. You believe that he's going to go there, but something sidetracks him, and he doesn't go there. And this is like where you talk about the heart wrenching. And she's written this speech for him. But anyways. It's like, but something happens. Something happens that's bigger than her, bigger than him. It's just bigger. And and this is what shows you she really is the whale rider. It's like the whales know she's the whale rider.
I do have to agree with Patty about what did you say earlier when you said it was about feminine, not
gender
feminine,
and power.
Gender and power. Because even when you're talking about the story about the rope, when the rope breaks and he's talking about the story, she ties the rope together, she starts the engine. He's mad at her about that.
Mad at her about everything.
But about starting the engine has nothing to do with the spiritual being a chief or a whale rider. It's about she started the engine that he couldn't.
Well, he believes
there's a time to be a chief and a time to be a
he
person.
believes something bad will happen because of this.
The problem he's having is that she's doing the male things, and she's a girl, and she's going to disrupt. Yeah, she's going to bring bad to the tribe because she's breaking tradition. She shouldn't be doing the male men things.
Right.
She should be doing the woman
better.
thing.
Not because it's
Not because
better.
it's better. Because she's going to bring a curse to the tribe by not following the ways. But and then of course he has to learn. Like I said, things change.
Yeah, I
mean, process that one.
See, I think that this is what I always say too. It's like you can't a past thing and look at it with today's eyes. People separated jobs as men, because women had babies and they fed the babies, and I was even thinking of this wolf story, Never Cry Wolf, which is another really great movie. It's a great book. And even in the wolf world, I mean, the male and female hunt together all the time, except when she's having pups. And then he's like the male. He was and in this one this thing,
George
Angela.
And Angela.
Yeah, George is the man. Angela is the because he lives beside this guy, and he writes
It's a true
about
story.
It's a true story. Yeah. Anyways, and he keeps like, come on, and she's like, no, I can't, right? And so he had to go off by himself, right? And with the other wolves, but he's used to hunting with her, right? So she just stays and does her job, and I think that remember in those times. Mature women, were pregnant a lot and had children a lot, and that's what defined their roles. It's only really been since birth control that changed, that we got an option. But really, the jobs were divided really quite practically. They went out and killed stuff and brought it home, and for the children and the babies, and the women had them.
And also like that,
because if you were going to have sex, you were going to have babies.
But also like I don't know what show we were watching, and I was telling you how it was showing how women have always had power, even though they seem like they're not. It might have been like the alienists. But because remember, even she has a conversation with her nana, who tells her, she goes, yeah, but he's the chief. No, he goes, he only thinks he's the chief because I let him.
Yeah, that's really true. That's what I meant about gender and power. It's really about two different kinds of energy.
Yeah, but let me just say, too.
No, let me finish what
I'm
saying.
Well, I was my turn right now. You had your turn.
You had your turn. The grandmother didn't step up, even though I really liked the grandmother. I didn't felt that she helped her.
Well, you're looking at her as an individual. They care more about the tribe.
She would do little
things.
No,
he did.
I mean,
so did she. They all do. They're the tribe.
But she would do little things like the one when he doesn't pick her up, and he's like, why you didn't pick her up? So you pick her up all these years, and now you don't show up and expect her to assume that you know. So when she shows up, she goes, you lead the whatever it is, and she's the one leading the singing.
Kitchen.
The boys
and he's
in,
really
yeah.
pissed off. Then he tells his wife, "What do you think you're doing?" Because she's kind of in a way showing her too that she's strong and like when she sits in the front and he goes, Pike, sit in the back. You don't sit in the front, you sit in the back because you're a girl. And she's like, and she sits right there.
She stays.
She stays. Man, she's a toughie.
She is a toughie.
I forget the part. Oh yes, but I have to say there was a scene where Pike confirms him. Remember?
What do you mean?
Well, remember he calls to the whales. He's calling to the whales and
Singing to the whales, right?
And then she joins him.
Right.
But remember, and when she sings, that's the whales come, right? But she says, "But it was wrong."
Right. But
I
she
was
thinks
wrong.
it's wrong. Yeah.
No, it is wrong. She did it, but it was wrong because she was inexperienced, and you can't. It's a different way of thinking. It's a tribal way of thinking. To go, she has to She has to do it different because maybe because she is a female. It's like the boy
think so.
had no trouble breaking away.
Right.
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 The father. He did what he did, right?
Right.
He wants to take Pi with him, but he
does, yeah.
But she doesn't want to. She knows she gets a calling. It's really not Pi making this decision. It's the whales making this decision,
Right.
and are telling her,
Yeah.
"No,
I mean, they're the
you
ones.
stay."
They call her back when she's being taken away.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think it's more complicated than
It is
that.
very
You're
complicated.
talking about a tribal mentality that goes back thousands and thousands of years, and I really don't think you can judge it by today's sense of men and women. You know what I mean?
It's not a judgment thing. It's an unfairness. And I think all through the ages, women have got the short end of the stick in not all cultures, but a lot of cultures.
You mean
But
from nature? They give us the babies.
No, it's nothing to do with babies. It's like
It has everything to
it's
do with babies.
No, that's part of it. What I'm saying is, like even in caveman days, men had more strength. You go do the hunting. We have the babies.
Well, does that make
we
sense?
stay home.
I can have
I
a
am
baby,
saying that.
and he's stronger.
I'm saying that. That to me, it's not what you do. It's like whatever you're better at, than the other person. That's what you should do. So no, it has nothing to do with babies in that sense of you're the one having a baby. That's a better job for you because you're the only one who could do it. So of course you're going to stay at home. So yes, of course you're going to do that part. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
But don't think either too that tribal women don't know how to fight.
Oh yeah,
that don't
they
know how
do.
to
They do.
protect.
They're tough.
That they can't get
Yes,
their own
right.
food. It's
Yes.
just that they can. It's just that yes, they stayed home because they were the upbringing
Well, who
of
feed-
the future
I have
of
no
the
problem
tribe.
with
baby.
staying at home. I hope I'm not giving that a
No,
burden.
not at all.
I'm just saying these
They do
roles
it better.
came out of that. We live in a different world now, but we have thousands and thousands
and
of
actually-
years of biology that has molded us a certain way, and it will take hundreds of years to actually change it. But these people live in the past.
Yeah, but the movie-
they do
Yeah.
not live now.
Yeah, but the movie does make that point to the chief, to Koro,
Yeah.
that tradition needs to be changed, and then he realizes that you cannot follow tradition like to the letter, that it needs to evolve.
It's
Yes,
kind of like
He makes that
religion.
point,
It's
and he
kind of
knows
like
that.
religion.
And
It's-
he does. Yeah.
you know, people who follow religion, like, no,
This is
Deuteronomy
what it
says,
Yeah.
you know, you can't do
he
this.
learns that
and you
lesson.
can't-
He learns that lesson in the movie that you cannot follow tradition.
Well, also, it's just a different energy doing the same rules. So
Yeah,
it's different.
it's different.
It's just
Even
different.
the ladies when they're playing cards and Pi's coming home and they're like, why do these older women care what this younger girl thinks about them smoking? Like,
That she'll tell on
but
them.
well, tell who? I mean, the
Yeah,
father
right.
knows.
Oh,
They're worried about
Perfect,
her,
right,
not
right.
not
They
like
don't want her.
right.
the
Yeah.
grandfather
Yeah.
to know they're smoking, and the son is out smoking his dope. He didn't give a shit. Like it's a feminine to feminine. It's a feminine to feminine example of female to female example.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where they don't want her to be mad at them,
Right.
because they're
they don't want
smoking
her
or,
to smoke, is what it is.
Yeah.
or
they-
whatever it is. They
No, you said it right. It's a woman to woman thing in a tribal thing, which I think, like, if you
I think it's a woman to girl thing.
We-
It's
yeah,
not
as a teacher,
a few
women
few
teach.
things back we did that Indian in Canada, the American Indian
the one
girls
that play
playing
lacrosse.
soccer or lacrosse.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yes.
And that was a whole tribal issue
Yes.
because only the
Yeah,
men did it.
exactly.
And blah,
It was-
blah, blah, blah,
in
blah.
fact, it was the same thing. The same thing with
It's,
the and it was
the
about
exact
breaking
same
tradition.
thing.
And
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
but
it's like you have to
They're
evolve.
breaking a...
If a tradition has to evolve.
It's not you break tradition. You have a very limited view of tradition. And it's no longer appropriate. It's no longer necessary.
It just limits
You know what it is?
Yes.
You do an amendment to tradition.
An amendment. Exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
so we'll talk about it? Okay, oh yeah.
Spirited. Okay, so I will give that a 10.
Yeah, I love this movie. I give it a 10.
I'll give it a 9.
I'll give it a 10 because it is a 10 worthy. Just get ready to cry.
10 worthy.
Just bring your hanky.
It's like sponge worthy.
So, so,
Oh, I miss those sponges.
so
Me and Eileen. What's her name?
Elaine.
Elaine.
Sponge worthy.
So
I missed that.
we're back.